Hi cuties! It's February, and that means it's time to talk about all the books I read in January. In total, I read 8 books, most of which were by the same author. This month was the month of Leigh Bardugo, everyone. But before we get to the mass of Bardugo books, let's talk about what I started the year out with. The first book I read of the year was The Graces by Laura Eve. I'm not even sure if it's supposed to be Laure or Laure or Laure or something. I think it's French, not sure though. So I apologize if she is watching this because I love your book. Two books. The Graces is the first in a duology, followed by The Curses, which I also read. I gave both of these 5 stars. They were so good. The first book follows a girl who calls herself River, and she lives in this small seaside town, and in this town are Fenrir, Talia, and Summer Grace. These siblings are thought to be witches. Summer is the youngest of the Graces. She's the only one who's like, yeah, I'm a witch, whatever. River gets sucked into their world. She really wanted to in the first place. Everybody wants to get into Grace's world. And she delves into the world of magic, but it's not like a Harry Potter magic. This book reminded me so much of the movie The Craft, but it has that same atmosphere and feel to it. It is good and complicated and just beautiful. And then we move on to The Curses. So here's the thing. The Graces could have just been a solo book, but it's not, and I love that fact. Curses is from Summer's point of view. Now we get way more into the world of the Graces themselves, and it is such a crazy, wild ride. It had some really good twists, some great character development. I just want a whole series of these characters. So we have River's point of view, Summer's point of view. Where's my Fenrir and Talia's point of view? Because I want everybody's point of view for this. I just want continuous books of these characters. That's all I want. Highly recommend, 5 stars from me. Especially if you love the movie The Craft, you will love these books. And the only reason I only have this cover on it because I lent it to a friend because she had to read it too. Now we get into Bardugo Bash. So in celebration of King of Scars coming out in January, a couple of my Tumblr friends and I decided to read as much Bardugo as we could. Now I had already read the Six of Crows duology back in 2016, 17, one of those two, but I had not read the Shadow and Bone trilogy. These were Bardugo's first books. I gave them 4 stars, mostly because I did not care for the main character or her love interest. Like, Alina and Mal are fine, I guess. Mal is just a whiny baby, and Alina's a whiny baby. And I love the Darkling. Well, like, he does some messed up things. But I'm always intrigued by evil characters, okay? This is necessary to really get into the Grishaverse. It completely sets up the entire land. It sets up the rules for the magic, and it has some great side characters. Genya, my queen. And it introduced Nikolai Lantsov, who we all know if you watch my King of Scars rating vlog, I love so very much. Genya and Nikolai are my top 2 characters in this, I think. There's a few others, but Genya, Nikolai, and the Darkling, each book was 4 out of 5, so the whole trilogy is 4 out of 5 for me. And then I moved on to The Language of Thorns. There are many reasons why this is cool. First off, this is a bunch of fairy tale within the Grisha universe. And I said this before in my King of Scars reading vlog. All these fairy tale, and especially the first fairy tale in here, are an outline of how Leigh Bardugo writes. The very first story in here is called Amaya and the Thornwood. Amaya is tasked to talk with this beast to get him to stop killing their crops and stuff. And in order to do that, she has to tell him stories. Now, these are all basic fairy tale stories that the beast already knows. So he always interrupts her and says, oh, this is how it ends. So Amaya has to be clever and change the ending in a way you would not expect. And she does it every time, and every single story in here does that. And all of Leigh Bardugo's writing does that. Number 2, there is amazing art in here, okay? So every story has this artwork that grows on the page as the story progresses. Each one is different, and they're colored text, which normally I'm like, eh. In the last book, the text color changes depending on where these characters are, and it's really cool and beautiful, and I love it. So I gave this 5 stars. It is just entrancing and beautiful. You don't have to read the Grishaverse to know this, but know that they're fairy tales from this fake universe. And honestly, you could read this first before the Shadow and Bone trilogy, and it would help understand the universe. So, amazing, beautiful, love it, iconic. Next, we step outside of the Grishaverse. There are 4 YA authors who have gotten together to write 4 different DC Comics novelizations. And Leigh Bardugo was charged with Wonder Woman. So this is Wonder Woman Warbringer. It is not a novelization of the DC Cineverse. This is a completely separate Wonder Woman story, and it's set when Diana is like 16, but it really establishes the world of Themyscira and the Wonder Woman story before she really is Wonder Woman. Now, at first, I wasn't really enjoying it a lot because it wasn't going the way I would have liked, and it felt a lot more predictable than usual Leigh Bardugo writing. But what a sweet summer child I was. Of course it's not gonna go that way. The last, like, 70 pages just completely changed the game, and Whoa! So it switches between the perspective of Diana and Aaliyah, who gets shipwrecked near Themyscira. And the two of them have to go on their own adventure. I don't want to spoil it for you. So Diana is introduced to the world of man. Similar to how the movie is, but different, trust me. For a while, I was really thinking this was gonna be gay. I was hoping that Aaliyah and Diana would be a thing, so that's a sad thing. One day, Wonder Woman will have a female love interest. Unfortunately, that's not today. And that's really the reason it got 4 stars instead of 5. Because come on, all the subtext was there. Whatever, it's fine, it's fine. There was only one more negative point about this book, and that is the very end. So Diana goes on this big adventure without telling her mom or anyone on Themyscira except the Oracle. And it was a big no-no. It was a big deal what she did. She goes back to Themyscira and time has not really passed on it, and she gets away with not telling anyone what she did. And I didn't like that. I thought it was gonna be important for her to admit to her mom what she's done. So now she just gets away with breaking these rules, and I just didn't really like that. Like, she's Wonder Woman. She can take a punishment. So that's why Wonder Woman only got 4 out of 5 stars for me. Still a great read, but yeah. And the last book I read in January is no surprise to anyone. King of Scars. See my reaction of reading this book? You can watch the entire reading vlog. In short, this book taught me lots of pain and emotions and gave me new characters and took them away. Despite all the pain and suffering, I loved this book. It was so good. It was wild. Every 2 seconds, something crazy was happening. I mean, I'm still kind of on withdrawals from reading this book, and I haven't picked a new book to read in February yet because I'm not over this yet. When is the next one? I need it now. Guys, please get into the Grishaverse with me. I want to talk to someone about it without spoiling it for anybody, because I really can't say a single thing about the plot without major spoilers, not only for this book, but of all the other Grishaverse books. So yes, I loved King of Scars. Overall for reading, January was great. February will probably not live up to January, and I'll definitely be reading less than 8 books because I'm going to be focusing a lot more on writing, because I'm working on the plot outlines for book 4 of Ashport, and I don't really know where to go on from after King of Scars, and I don't really know where to start next. All these books here, and the one over there you can't see, they're all my TBR. And I have 4 boxes of books coming from bookoutlet.com. I'll reveal those in another video. If you have a suggestion for what I should start next, feel free, because otherwise I'm gonna do a random number generator and see how that turns out. So what books did you read in January? Put them down in the comments below. And of course, you can also reach me on Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. And you can follow me on Goodreads to see my pain. Sorry, Lucy really wanted attention. You haven't been on the video in a bit. Yeah. You see him next time? Okay. Bye, guys.